everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is GeGe and today we have a hips and hamstrings mobility and flexibility flow. We're starting on our bums, leaning back into our hands, feet planted hip width apart into the ground, keep chest lifted, and gentle drop of the knees from side to side in a windshield wiper motion. The feet are active and flexed. And if your knees don't come all the way down here, please don't worry. It's the start of the session. Should feel a bit freer by the end of this 15 minutes. So if you hear any crunching, limited mobility, don't worry, this comes with time. And eventually we will be stopping on our right side and holding in a 90-90 pose. So that means that the front leg is at a 90-degree angle and the back leg is at a 90-degree angle. The feet are flexed and then we're going to hold here. So take a forward lean and you may want to come to your hands or maybe down to your elbows like I'm doing. Resist the urge to lean into that right side and instead square the hips over that front leg. Coming into your last couple of breaths here, the next thing we're going to do is come up onto our hands, planting the hands down into the ground. The back knee is going to stay grounded, so that's your left knee, and your left foot is going to lift off the ground and back down again for about 8 reps. Now, your range of motion here might be quite limited. Please don't worry, this is very normal, and if you're really struggling, you can lean further forward to give yourself more space. Just rotating that thigh bone into the ball and joint hip socket. And then leaning back into the hands, you're going to open up that same knee and bring it back down, external and internal rotation of the hip. And also getting a nice inner thigh stretch here too. Something to keep in mind here too is to keep the right knee grounded so it's not lifting up as you open and close. Now, we're going to start to lean forward and lift that back leg off the ground and then swing it round to the front. Use your body weight here, so you're leaning forward as the leg swings back and then sitting up as the leg comes around to the front. Now this might be a bit of a balance challenge. You can totally use your hands to balance you out, don't worry. And next we're coming into rocking like a baby. So your left foot is going to come into your right hand and the other hand is going to hold onto that knee. Just gently rock it back and forth. Or you can do what I'm doing and literally cradle it like a baby. The foot and the knee settling into the elbow crooks, nice and close to the body for a glute stretch here. Just gently rocking back and forth, side to side. And then extending your right leg out in front of you, you're going to stack one knee on top of the other. And then you're going to take a hamstring stretch here, so reaching all the way up to the sky, and then nice straight spine, leaning over. So it's a nice glute stretch for that left side, that left glute. And it's a hamstring stretch for your right leg. If you feel enough sensation just sat up in this position, you can totally stay there. If you want a little bit more, take the hamstring stretch. So coming out of that hamstring stretch, we're going to come into a half pancake position. So you're extending your right leg out to the side and then your left foot is going to come in towards your groin. Take a side stretch with your left arm going overhead and then circle all the way around, put your weight into your left hand, lift the hips and come into a hip flexor stretch. And then flowing through that again, side stretch, circle up and around, you're up on your left knee, pushing those hips forward. Give me one more, getting an inner thigh stretch here, and then a hip flexor stretch as you push the hips forward. And we're going to repeat everything we just did on the other side. So we're coming back into those feet apart and windshield wiper those knees side to side. And maybe you're starting to feel a little bit of a difference in those hips, even if it's just a couple more degrees of mobility. And now we're starting to think about coming into that left side for the 90-90 position. So again, squaring the hips, squaring the body towards that front leg, and take your lean over, whether it's hands, forearms, or even forehead. Taking one last breath here, you're going to start to come up to your hands, and we're coming into those foot-knee rotations. So planting the knee down into the ground, lift the foot up and back down. As you can see, I'm taking a slight lean forward to give myself more space, a little bit more rotation in that hip joint. Keep the foot flexed and keep the weight even between the hips. Leaning back into the hands, opening out the knee and bringing it back down. We're going to come into our leg swing, so leaning forward, lift that back foot off the ground and then swing it around. If you collapse, if you lose your weight balance, don't worry, just steady yourself and keep going. And now we're coming into rocking like a baby with that right leg. So either taking the hand to the knee and the hand to the foot, or cradling it like it's your baby. If you do this version, notice if you're slumping, check your posture, lift the chest whilst keeping that knee close to the chest. If you struggle with that, go back to the original version. Stacking the knees one on top of the other, stretching out that bottom leg. Reach all the way up to the sky, deep breath in. Exhale as you lean over with a nice straight spine. Try to avoid slumping here. Think of length instead of depth. Taking your last deep breath in and out. As you start to come up, you're stretching out that left leg to the side, the right foot comes into the groin, and we're coming into those sweeps. So reaching over the head and then coming into that same hand, pushing up through the knee and the hand, and take that sweep up and overhead. Inner thigh stretch into hip flexor stretch, maybe a slight back bend depending on how you're feeling today. And if your wrist is feeling a little finicky today, a little bit sore, you can actually press up onto the knuckles instead of the flat hand. Okay, we're coming into our next exercise, which is a Pilates rotation. So bringing the legs into a narrow straddle, nice and tall through the chest, arms out to the side like wings, start to rotate through the spine, and then opposite arm to opposite foot reaches to the outside of the foot. I want you to think long here. Long torso, long spine, long arm reaching nice and long along the floor, long legs, finding length rather than depth. And if your hand doesn't reach anywhere near the foot, please don't worry about that. It will come with time. Just the action of rotating and reaching will stretch those hamstrings. Think of zipping, scooping, hollowing that navel towards the spine. Bit of abdominal engagement. And you should move where your gaze goes. Roll the shoulders. Perfect. Coming down towards your back, rolling down with control. You're going to bring the feet together, the knees apart like a book, coming into a diamond position, and we're coming into some side sweeps here. So it doesn't matter which leg you start with, start to sweep one leg along the floor, coming into a spinal rotation as you go, and then you're coming back through that diamond position. Try to find a little bit of momentum here. You can look at your foot as it sweeps across. Again, internal and external rotation of that hip joint. Trying to keep the feet in contact with the floor throughout most of this exercise. And then settling in your reclined diamond, reclined cobbler's position for a moment. Beautiful stretch for the inner thighs, the groin. Transitioning into a hamstring exercise here, so plant both feet into the ground. Your right knee is going to come in towards the chest and then extend it up towards the sky. Hands can come behind the ankle, the shin, the thigh, whatever feels good to you. And you're going to resist the stretch at first, so pushing hands into leg, leg into hands, and then as you exhale, pull the leg towards you. So resist for a couple of counts and then pull leg towards you. Resist and pull closer and closer towards your face. When you're at your maximum stretch, extend the left leg along the floor and continue to pull that leg towards you, the right leg. You might feel a nice hip flexor stretch on your left side once you've extended that leg. Nice. Bending that knee back in, bring the left foot back in. You're going to extend the right leg up towards the sky and then cross it over your left thigh and then threading the needle, coming into a figure 4 shape. You can see here that I'm bending and extending my left leg. This is just to give the right leg a little bit more of a glute stretch, a little bit more of a push. If you don't need that, don't worry about it. Actively think about pushing that right knee outwards to get more of an optimal glute stretch. Feet are active. And letting the shape go, we're going to do that on the other side. So again, left leg this time is going to extend towards the sky. You're going to hold the leg behind the shin, behind the ankle, behind the thigh. Resist for a couple of counts and then pull. And use your breath. Inhale to resist and out to pull. Again, when you've reached your maximum stretch, your maximum capacity, you're going to extend the right leg along the floor, maybe feeling an extra hip flexor stretch on that side. And think about the thigh coming towards the middle of the body, the foot coming towards the face, instead of it dropping outwards towards the armpit. And coming into the figure 4 on this side. Taking your options, you might want to bend and extend the leg. You might actually want to keep the foot planted on the floor if that's enough for you today, depending on how tight you're feeling. Starting to come out of this position. The last thing we're going to do today is hold onto our knees and take some knee circles. So taking them outwards and back together, outwards and back together. And then the other way. bringing the feet down to the ground, one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart, hopefully finding a little bit more space. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope it was beneficial to you. I hope it was what you needed. I'll be back soon with more. See you later.